It was buried alive in ice and snow, but Gemini was too mean to die. It's knowing you would return. Finally, spring came to Cedar Point. Arrived on anger and rage. Gemini's cold heart began to pound. Evil rushed through its icy veins. Gemini was free. Gemini, it's been waiting all winter just for you at Cedar Point.
Welcome back, Coaster Nerd fans. So today we are going to be, I'm going to give my full thoughts and reviews on Gemini at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. This is a racing dueling coaster by Aerodynamics. It opened in June 17th, 1978, and each track, I got to ride it the first time back in June of this year, or last year, 2019. I only got to ride the red side because the blue side was closed the day I went, both days I went, and so overall, this ride has approximately 3,935 feet of track, both sides. It goes 60 miles per hour. Duration is about 2 minutes and 40 seconds with a max vertical angle of 55 degrees. And overall, I thought this ride was pretty good. Definitely a step up from your other mine train rides like Excalibur at Valley Fair or Venture Express at Kings Island or some of the other mine rides that might be around. Even the Cedar Creek Mine Train, which is at the same park as Cedar Point, it's definitely a step up, in my opinion, to Gemini. Gemini is a step up from that. Anyway, Gemini did surprisingly surprise me quite a bit. I liked the ride. Definitely an older coaster. You can definitely feel it's a bit rough, a little jerky transitions, but that's just old Aero for you. The airtime on some of the hills is excellent. By far, in my opinion, some of the best airtime in the park and some of those hills. And it does have a little bit of intensity during the last helix of that ride before you get into the brakes. I will say though, I did find it just kind of bland. It's exciting for what it is. Station overall looks pretty good. Nothing special. Probably could do some updating and stuff. But with the rumors of it possibly closing for a future roller coaster coming to Cedar Point, which I'm not going to get into details about that because it's a rumor for one, and two, that's for another video for a different time. But anyway, I definitely think I would have had a lot more fun on it if I would have gotten a duel on it, and if it was racing like it was meant to be. But again, I did not get that privilege of getting on it when it was racing. I only got to ride it with the red side, and it was running 2 trains. So the dispatches were a bit slower than you'd probably expect from it. But anyway, overall, I thought it was a decent ride. Compared to everything else at Cedar Point, really nothing to rave about. The only cool aspect of it is basically one of the first hybrid coasters with the steel track on top with wood supports. But with basically Steel Vengeance being right next, pretty close to it, it's basically obsolete. Even Millennium Force and Maverick and Magnum, I think those are way better rides than Gemini is. So if Gemini does get closed, I wouldn't be too sad. Yeah, I love Aero, and I would 100% go closing day. Would I miss it, though? Not really. It's one of those rides where it's a hit or miss. I don't love it. I don't particularly hate it. I thought it was fun. But since Cedar Point's in a peninsula, and they only have so much to work with, if they do choose to tear down Gemini and put in a different ride to help out and make their overall lineup better, then I'd say farewell to Gemini. But since it's still operating and stuff, and it's a pretty fun ride, out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 7, 6, 7. Not the greatest thing. Pretty good airtime moments, kind of intense, but definitely a family ride, and definitely other better coasters at Cedar Point. Anyway, if you guys like this video, leave a like, leave a comment, and we will see you guys out in the queue.
At Cedar Point, riders have been seeing double since 1978 on Gemini, the tallest, steepest, fastest racing coaster in the world. On Gemini, the steepest hills in the Midwest are heightened by a high-speed race. At the rate of 4,000 riders per hour, parallel trains go one-on-one as they race through 6 acres of winding, whirling track. When they leave the station, it's red train versus blue. Riders on each side psych each other out during the slow climb up a 125-foot hill. Then the race begins with the initial 118-foot plunge that propels them up to 60 miles an hour. It's a 2-minute, 20-second game of catch-up as the lead passes back and forth. Red in the lead at the top of the next hill. Blue catches up at the bend. And in the home stretch, Gemini throws both trains off final curve as the tracks split into dual 360-degree loops. It's double the thrills and double the capacity with 40,000 rides per day. The winner and still the champion, Gemini of the racing coasters.